Welcome back to another episode of Hill Country Hustlers. I'm your host, Zachary Green, and today I have Stephen Day with me, owner and founder of Armour Excavating out in Center Point, Texas. Is that right?
That's correct.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I wanted to get started and just hear a little bit about your story, where you're from, and if it's not from the Hill Country, how you got here and what that journey was like for you.
Okay, sure. I grew up in the state of Indiana and went to Indiana University for my accounting degree. And then I moved to Chicago. And so I lived in Chicago for 8 years. And then when I was finishing my MBA, I also got married the same summer to my wife, Susan. And so that was 29 years ago. And then we were in New York for 18 years. And while I was in New York City, I was an investment banker and we started our own firm. Tim Walsh and myself started up Navidar. And so we started that in New York City, but our focus was always to bring technology investment banking skills to the middle part of the country. We call it the middle corridor of the country, where there's not a great presence of technology investment banking skills. And after having success doing that for a few years, it made sense to be in that middle corridor. There's only really three large fee pools in that middle corridor, and that's Central Texas, Denver, and Minneapolis. And we already had done deals here. We knew people here, and the weather is fantastic. And I think both of our wives were excited about Texas. His wife is from Texas. My wife was excited about that and loved the weather versus the Minneapolis winters. It became a natural choice. And so we came in 2012, and we've been here in Texas since 2012.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. How did you transition from that line of work to now doing Armour Excavating?
Yeah. And so I still have that line of work too.
Oh.
We have several businesses. And so that's in Austin, Texas. And so we still run the technology investment banking firm. It's a main business for us. My wife runs the Vita Nail candle business. It's a luxury candle. It's designed for gift giving. That's run out of Spicewood, Texas. And then the Armour Excavating business is run out of Center Point. But the way I got into the excavating business was we purchased a ranch here in Hunt, Texas. And just one thing led to the other. We needed to have excavating work done and hauling work done. And I saw that there was an opportunity in what I would consider the middle part of the market. And the very small end of the market might be a single operator with a single piece of equipment. And then you have the very large competitors who do the very heavy civil work around here, who are all highly skilled and highly competent and have been here for a very long time. But there's a middle part of the market, what I would say the mid-sized deals, where they're really too big and too complex for the small guys. And they're really just too small for the big guys to really give it much attention. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to emulate all the great things about the large competitors in this Central Texas area, but to be able to put that into a business model and deliver that for the mid part of the market. Yeah. So our excavating projects tend to range from 250,000 to 2.5 million would be the range of type of projects that we would be in.
Wow. So is that a lot of outside of the city limits, more in the county type stuff, maybe with ranches and camps or?
All of that, but we have a 120 mile radius of Kerrville that we serve. So we've been up to Austin, to Marble Falls. We've been out to Junction. We've been down to Eagle Pass, Uvalde. So we cover in San Antonio. So we have a decent footprint. Within a couple hours drive, we'll tackle it.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. And when did you founded Armour Excavating?
Yes.
Correct? And when did you found that?
So it really started in 2017 on a small scale. And then we got very serious about it 3-4 years ago. And so now we scaled it up. And so in that mid-market, I think we're probably the largest player in tech. We're also vertically integrated. So we have direct wholesale relationships with many quarries for many different types of supplies, with aggregates or stone or rock. We can purchase all that wholesale. We can ship it all. So we have our own trucking fleet. So we can haul aggregates. We can haul heavy equipment. We can haul anything on a flatbed. Mm-hmm. So we have a pretty diverse hauling capability. And then, of course, in excavating, we do a lot of commercial site development, but we also do ranch development, water and erosion control projects, things like that. So yeah, we work for camps, we work for ranchers, we work for commercial developers. Yeah, the full spectrum.
Awesome. That's cool. Inside of the Hill Country, have you noticed maybe a difference in how you have to deal with clients or the culture of the Hill Country affecting this business compared to the ones outside?
Sure. I think in Hill Country, there's a lot more relationship-based work where we're in a community, we're living together, we're working together. And I think there's just a fair amount of respect for each other and trying to work through problems together.
Mm.
I would say it's less formal and it's more relationship based, which is a real nice
Yeah.
change of pace. I also think that in hill country, people are very demanding of quality and they understand what it costs to have quality and they're willing to pay for that. So I find that it's a market that values high customer service, high quality. And that's where we try to position ourselves and differentiate ourselves. So if we say we're going to deliver for you today, we're going to deliver for you today. We have a saying, grounded in expertise, and that's really what we try to be grounded in, is to have that ability to rise to the occasion of the complex project and then deliver. So we're driven by results, right? So the kind of the trucking side of it, we really want to deliver a top-notch quality product every time. There's one thing that we see is about a third of our work is rework. Somebody else came in earlier, they didn't have a full project plan, a full project scope, and they did one part for the homeowner, the ranch owner. It really wasn't done correctly in consideration of a total project plan. So we really try to work with the clients to make sure we understand their long-term goals, their long-term project plan, and make
Mhm.
sure that we get things done correctly. So that's a big part of, I think, how we're also a little bit different. We're not looking to just get a job and get it done, but we'd like to be a long-term development partner
Yeah,
for our clients.
that's great. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The relationship building is very important in the area, and doing
Yeah.
really good work goes a very long way in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch a little bit on the flood, since y'all do
Mm.
it with moving land around.
Yeah.
How has that been post flood? Have y'all
Yeah.
had an uptick in business? And
Yeah.
yeah,
We certainly have. So on July 4th, our team was on the river within 24 hours with equipment doing search and rescue. And we did that for a couple of weeks. We volunteered for probably the better part of 2 to 3 weeks. And our guys worked every single day, 14, 16 hours a day. So it was really a big push to try to be a critical part of the search and rescue. And so we did that and worked with some of the local fire departments. We have since shifted, like everybody else has, to the rebuild. And we're the only local contractor who was hired by both of the two national firms that came in. So FEMA hired two national firms to come in and orchestrate the overall cleanup. They divided the river into two parts. And so we're the only one to have worked for both of them. It turns out we did excavating for one and trucking for the other. And we're still working with those two firms. And so I think that was a testament to just the types of controls and systems that we have and technology that we used. Is we're very transparent, we're very auditable. I think we're one of the few companies of this size range that has everything geo-tracked, from where an employee tracks and checks in
Mhm.
and clocks out to our trucks, all of our equipment. Everything is tagged and everything is geo-tracked at all times. So you can see exactly how many days we spent on a job, how many people we had on that job. So we have very good reporting systems. We've adopted a lot of technology, so we have a lot of transparency. Out of the rebuild phase, it became very apparent from that knowledge that there's a really big gap in the market. So FEMA and insurance may or may not have made their contributions, but their contributions doesn't cover the full price tag. And there's some
Mhm.
things that you just, I don't know how you would insure it, quite frankly. So a camp has a bunch of sediment that's filled up in the river and makes the river really non-usable, which is, if some of these camps on the river, they're that the river is critical to their success. They teach life skills. They train the kids in the water. They have competitions and sports in the water. It's a really important part of their camp. So if it fills up with sediment, like, how do you get an insurance policy to cover that? And it's expensive to bring in excavators down to the river and to clean them out. We saw this gap, and that's why we started the Armour Flood Fund. So we partnered up with King's Ransom Foundation, and it's a 501c3, and they've been around this Kerrville area for, boy, I don't know the exact, maybe 15 years, 20 years. I mean, they've been here for a long time, and they do projects all over the globe, and really they answer the cry of the poor. They try to answer with food and housing, clothing, and those kind of things. They saw this opportunity to work with us to help the people they're already helping to start to rebuild. And the Armour Flood Fund was established. And I think in collection between their flood fund and ours, some $200,000 has been brought in and deployed. So if you want to donate to the Armour Flood Fund, you can do that on our website, or you can do that on the King's Ransom Foundation website. Just click down and click the Armour Flood Fund. And we're hoping to get more funding. We have $3 million of projects in backlog. There's over a dozen projects. And that's just scratching the surface. We're hesitant to go build a bigger pipeline of opportunity until this current one gets funded. But there's a real need to get businesses back in businesses, in particular, these camps that have been devastated. They're a lifeline to summer tourism here. But there's homeowners that we're helping that lost their home, lost all of their equipment, their cars, their tractors. And so we're really trying to be helpful in the rebuilding phase. And a big part of that is the demolition work and getting the structures down so the new ones can be rebuilt. So our work is around demolition, site development, site grading, site cleanup, removal of trees and things like that. And we've been working with the large national firms such that if they will haul the debris for free, we take it to the right of way. So then they'll take it for free. So we've also been helpful just connecting the dots. We talked to a camp recently where we were able to help them connect the dots and get them some funding to get some river cleanup work done. So just by being a facilitator of the communication, even when there's nothing in it for Armour, just being the glue out there to try to make sure people are talking and going to the right sources, just doing our little part to help rebuild Kerr
Yeah.
County.
Wow. That's amazing. And I think a great testament to you and the business. I had no idea how involved y'all were. I knew I'd seen some stuff and knew you were
Yeah.
up to good things, but that's awesome.
Yeah. Our team is amazing. We have great employees, great leaders. They work incredibly hard. I'm probably not the most fun guy to work for because I'm very demanding in terms of quality and keeping. We have top-notch equipment, top-notch investments that have to be maintained, right? And so we set a high bar, and these guys work hard every day to achieve that. So I'm very proud of them. It's an amazing team. They work long hours. We were joking the other day that there's a company who said, I can't show up today because it's raining. And I just chuckled with our team because our guys work in the rain, they work in the sun, the heat. They're really a very dedicated team. And so I'm very appreciative, very grateful for them. And I think they've made, in our little way, in the Armour world, I think they've made a big difference for the families that we've touched.
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. It's everybody who's pitched in since the flood it's an awesome testament to the community. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you're involved in that and have you here because that gave a lot of people hope that didn't have much. So
Yeah.
that is awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change gears a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I wanted to ask, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had managing at Armour Excavating, whether it be relationship with the employees or just the straight up fundamentals of the business?
The biggest challenge, I'd say, number one, is managing growth. So there's years where we're growing 100%, 50%. We have really high growth rates. And so with those growth rates, it requires new processes and new ways of doing things. And so you're not just trying to get the work done at a quality standard that's very high, and you're trying to get the work done quickly, but then you have to layer in these new processes. And that has been one of the biggest challenges. But we use technology, and technology is critical to what we do. We will continue to do that, but we've invested in a lot of technology. And so all of our truck drivers are on an iPad getting their instructions via the app, the Jobber app. Like I said, they're all geo-tracked. So all the driver training and feedback, we get reports on their speed, their cornering, their braking. That is a way to help us better train them so we can have eyes and ears on the truck even without having to sit in the truck with them. So there's a lot of things like that we do that really help to accelerate improvements. So that's number one. I'd say the second challenge is it's a very capital intensive industry. And I laugh when people say, oh, I'll just get in the trucking business myself. I'm like, God bless you. You better have some good mechanics. And so we've been really blessed to have some mobile mechanics and our own team who can keep these trucks running. But T inspections are very strict. They should be very strict. We don't mind adhering to them. But it's a lot of work to keep this stuff working every day and a lot of time. And we're one of those companies where, we can't afford a 10-bay garage and 10 mechanics on staff. We're just not at that level yet. And when you're at this level, you have to put together a suite of guys some guys know trucks really well, some guys know heavy equipment really well. So you had to develop a relationship. And we've now done that, and we've got some great people helping us out. But I'd say that's just a constant thing to stay on top of is the maintenance.
Yeah. Earlier, you touched on how you're a bit demanding, and I don't think you're mean or anything, but I'd like to hear how you have grown to be a better communicator with the guys, because it's hard to pass along the message if they think, oh, this is this jerk that wants me to work unreasonable hours or whatever.
Yeah. And I think they think that I'm a compassionate and caring leader. Yeah. And so I don't think there's any risk that they think that I'm a jerk. It's more of it's sometimes just tiring to have this relentless pursuit of excellence. It's just a tiring endeavor to get up every day and being pushing yourself to get better and adding new services and adding new capabilities. It's just a constant flood of new information and learning, and but they're up for it. And here's the thing, my team wants to win. They want to do great, and they do. And I think that drives them. So I think in some ways I'm not pushing too hard really because they want to be the best in the industry. And that's the starting point is a great cultural fit in terms of a hire. That's the wonderful thing. But yeah, so I think one of the things that I'm trying to instill with the team is a real sense of self-awareness, right? And so if we make a mistake, come to me and say, I made a mistake. This is why we made the mistake, and this is what we're going to change so we don't make it in the future. Well, then it's a 2-minute conversation, right?
Yes.
But if you come and you start to beat around the bush and make excuses and point fingers, then it's probably going to be a 3-hour conversation that you're not going to enjoy. And so I think I can be pretty reasonable when it comes to people who are very self-aware and just tell the truth. That then makes the things very easy. And I think we have that culture. And so every new employee that we bring on, we have to indoctrinate to that culture. I think another thing that I do that makes it difficult sometimes for my employees is I believe in a flat culture, not a hierarchy. And a lot of the guys on the team, they come out of hierarchy cultures like the military or a police organization or maybe another corporate organization, and everything's a hierarchy and you can only report to the guy above you. And there's really not a lot of solicitation of ideas. I truly believe that the newest employee, that the least experienced employee can make contributions in terms of new ideas. And so when things aren't going right, I really encourage them to, of course, tell their direct report, who they direct report to, what the issue is or what the suggestion is. And if they don't get satisfaction, they can elevate it to the next level. They can elevate it to me. And I really want people to be comfortable that everybody has a voice and everybody can contribute to ideas. I believe that type of culture is inspiring. I think it's a more fun place to work when you're being listened to and you know that you can deliver value. So I think sometimes this sort of flat culture, meritocracy culture is a little foreign to them. And they've told me that we're just not used to people asking for our opinions. We're just not used to people being willing for us just to walk in their office and say, hey, I think we could be doing something else better. So for me, it's all about process improvement. Every day, I'm just relentless about improving process and getting better. And if we can do something better, faster, cheaper, I'm all for that. And so I'm very open-minded. And so we don't have a culture, a founder-based culture of it's my way or the highway. It's just, that's not how we operate. And I think it's like a fabric. The more strings and the more intertwined we are, the stronger we are as a group. And that's the culture that we've established at Armour.
Wow, that's cool. Where did you get that kind of philosophy? When did you pick that up? Or has it always been ingrained in you that kind of the flat is best?
Yeah. And by the way, I don't want to say flat is best,
Well,
okay?
yeah.
Because the other cultures can be, certainly not making any critiques of the military or the police organizations, because I think that probably is the right culture for them
Yes.
and taking commands and stuff. So it's more of about finding a culture that fits the personalities of the leaders and being able to channel that in a way that's beneficial to both employees and customers. And I was involved in leadership roles very early in my life, starting in college, holding national leadership roles in college. And so it's always something that I've enjoyed learning about and reading and studying other leaders. And then my own personal experiences, I've worked in the service industry all of my life, whether it's in the accounting services or financial services, investment banking services. It's been very customer focused. You've had to be the best and have the best technical knowledge in order to get hired. They're very competitive industries. And so I've just always valued that sense of competitiveness, the need to keep the edge of the blade sharp and be current with whatever the regulations or technical knowledge you need, and believing in meritocracy and seeing in those organizations how you can be in a bank and you can be a first year managing director and you can win a big deal and you can go out and do that. You can win a large fee. And why would you want to hold that person back? And I saw this a lot at Goldman Sachs, where I spent a number of years at Goldman Sachs running some of their technology group sectors. And we had some really amazing junior analysts, first year entry level analysts who came in who were just wicked smart. And yeah, I think the best of us, I think we grabbed onto them as quickly as we could, and we took them to client meetings, and we let them build that knowledge base so they could give us ideas. And I think our clients were better served by that willingness to allow all levels of the organization to make contributions. And that's a critical life lesson I learned from Goldman. That's something I definitely carry over to this day with Armour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really great way of putting it. And that's cool. I think it touches on the idea that everybody can everybody can have good input, just a fresh set of eyes, even if it's
Mhm.
not the most experienced guy or
Yeah.
it's someone totally new. They have a new way of looking at it and it might be helpful, might not, but
Yeah.
it's
I think one of the things that's really benefited us at Navidar is Tim Walsh and I, in some ways, we're very similar, but in some ways, he has more of a legal training background, I have more of a accounting training background, but we both have finance and MBA with
mhm,
investment banking. And so we'll come at issues from a different perspective sometimes. But I'll tell you, one of the greatest things about working with Tim and being a partner with Tim and him being my best friend is that we can have a debate around an issue and we can brainstorm on an issue. And there's never been one scenario in the 15 years that I've worked with Tim where us debating and challenging each other didn't result in a better outcome for the client, a better suggestion, a better recommendation, a better negotiation strategy. And so I think that's very kind of anti-culture to the construction industry. And so I think I bring that to the team, which is let's debate how to do this job. Let's debate the steps to put it in. Let's have a conversation about them. Let's make sure now you got to be efficient about it. You got to have a quick conversation. You got to get on with your day. But so we don't want to belabor it, but sometimes thinking about it in terms of how to stage the order of the job and things like that. Yeah, you get a better solution with teamwork and brainstorming for sure. And so I'm a big believer in that.
wow, very cool. Well, we're running a little low on time, but I wanted to
Okay.
ask you a couple more questions,
Sure.
maybe a two-parter. We'll do one question, two parts.
Okay.
First part is what is one or maybe two tips that you would pass to anyone starting their entrepreneur career? And then second part, if you could have or recommend one book for an upcoming entrepreneur, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So number one is if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're married, make sure that you and your spouse are prepared for that journey. I never would have been able to do this without the support of my wife, Susan, and over the past 29 years. And it's really it's a family endeavor. It's not just, oh, dad's getting up and going to work or mom's getting up to go to work. Like an entrepreneurial journey is a 24/7, 365 journey. And you bring all the happiness and all the stress into the household. And so that would be the first thing I would say to an entrepreneur. If you're not married, I would say first tip is if you do get married, make sure that your spouse understands that journey and what that's all about. That's so for me, I think a lot of my success has been having had a great spouse. So that would be one. In terms of a specific book, I don't have a specific book. Here's what I would say is I think a lot of times people want to give advice to entrepreneurs like, oh, this is the one thing or two things you should do beyond the spouse recommendation. I don't think it's one secret or two or three things to be successful. The way I would describe it, which I think is a little bit different than I've heard a lot of people describe it, is that we have all been ordained with certain gifts. And the question is, how are you going to use your gifts? You have a recipe, right, that's been given to you. And the goal is to supercharge those traits that are positive and can really help you. And then those traits that can be distracting is to keep them in check. And that takes discipline. And for example, if you're somebody who suffers from ADHD, you might have trouble concentrating, right? In participating in a room conversation, staying on track. But those that gifts can lead to great innovation gifts. And some of the great innovators have suffered from ADHD. And so then you want to supercharge that innovation capability that you have. And so what I would say is take stock of what is the recipe that you were given? What are the traits that you were given? And really work to figure out which ones those you can supercharge. I'll just use one example, and I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs. I'm just trying to describe the 180-degree difference. Steve Jobs was able to see what nobody else saw. He
Mhm.
did that many times. The thing was, some of the simplicity of his brilliance was the brilliance in deciding not to have a keyboard on a phone. We've had a keyboard since the typewriter, right? What else is there besides a keyboard? And knowing that not just 10% of the market would want that or 20%, but that the entire world would want a phone with no keyboard. Like the simplicity of that insight, that innovation, that's his supercharged brilliance. He wasn't the easiest person to get along with. Talk about demanding. There's some really mixed reviews about him, but he was able to keep that in check enough that he could hire great people around him to help grow Apple in the way that he did. So he kept that in check. On the other hand, I don't see the future like that. I'm not an innovative person like that, but I'm a great process improvement person. And so if there's a process, existing service, most likely I can find ways to put my mind to it and improve it greatly. That's my skill set. So again, not comparing myself to him. I'm just saying you can have a 180-degree difference in traits and you can still find a successful path in life. And so don't try to be something you're not, but try to look at your own recipe, look at your own ordained traits, supercharge the good ones, find books and find people that help you supercharge those. And then the ones that could be distracting to you, find a way to keep them in check. Try to find a way to make them positive for you.
Yeah.
So
That was very well put. I like it a lot. It ties back to, I think, what you said about self awareness and encouraging that in the workplace.
yeah,
That's something I've been trying to work on now that I'm getting started in my career. And I feel like I have to take inventory maybe once a month at least and see
yeah,
if I was right when I first evaluated, and maybe something's
yeah,
changed. But it's
yeah,
very important, and it's a skill you got to hone in
yeah.
to be self aware.
People who can receive feedback constructively and build off of it, right there is a big battle in the race. I think a lot of people really have trouble taking feedback
Absolutely.
and get very sensitized, get very sensitive to it. And so I'm all about it. It's like I only want to wake up and understand what I could do better. And that's just kind of how my mind works. So I'm always chasing that. Again, that can be tiring over time. But that's just the way I'm wired, is I just want to do better every day. And so I think that mindset is one that's certainly been beneficial to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's obvious. And the fact that you're a very successful businessman in multiple industries, and that's not easy. It's
Yeah.
not easy to be successful in one, but
Yeah, that's right.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's all I have for you. So I wanted to give you a chance to shout out the business and the foundation if you'd like again, and
Sure.
anything else going on just for any listener.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very grateful to be here. Armour Excavating is based in Center Point, Texas. If you go to the rmourexcavating.com website, you can see a donate or request assistance tab right there on our website to donate to the Armour Flood Fund. Or you can go to the King's Ransom Foundation website, click on projects, and select the Armour Flood Fund and donate right there. And your work will go directly to the front line. There's no bureaucracy, there's no red tape. 100% of the money goes directly to frontline work. There's no overhead expenses or anything like that are pulled out.
Wow, that's awesome.
Good cause.
Yeah. If you're feeling up for giving or have anything extra this holiday season, donate to Armour's Foundation. They're doing amazing work for the community post flood, and that's very important for us right now. So check out their website at the least. And if you have any excavating needs, give them a call. Also, trucking needs, right?
That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll put all their social medias and websites in the bio. So thank you for coming down. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.